he joins us right now. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. Now, you did not sign the letter. You want the rich to be taxed some more, but I put it to you, you're from an ultra-liberal district. You're a shoo-in for re-election in November. If you were not in a shoo-in district, if you had a fight on your hands, you might well have signed that letter, because I think you know that the argument is moving away from taxing the rich and more towards job creation. What do you say, sir?
Well, I don't think I would sign the letter under any circumstances. I think at a time of budget deficits, we need to start reining it in. And I frankly don't understand why my Republican friends think it's okay to give the top 2% millionaires and billionaires in this country a tax break, costing us $700 billion, not paid for. At the same time, they reject an extension of unemployment benefits that's paid for.
It's shifting. The argument is shifting. Because taxing the rich with an economy like this is no longer as politically attractive as it might have been a few months ago or a couple of years ago. Because taxing the rich will not create jobs. And the public opinion really is shifting, Congressman. Look at this letter to Nancy Pelosi. Look at the 5 Democrats in the House, in the Senate. Look at the governor of West Virginia. The argument, sir, is shifting.
Do you believe that Alan Greenspan on Meet the Press just a few weeks ago said that giving the tax cuts to the top 2% of this country would not be paid for and would be a net drain on the economy?
Do you believe, Congressman, do you believe that giving tax cuts for, what, 95% of the population, the so-called middle class, you don't believe that that will cost $3 trillion? Because it will, according to your math.
It's not the so-called middle class. It's the middle class that's hurting now, and they're the ones that need to have the tax cuts. I'm for tax cuts, but I'm for sensible tax cuts. Okay. I'm not for willy-nilly tax cuts across the board. Look,
let me ask you, I've got a limited time. I've got to get this question in because I've asked it of many politicians. Hold on a second. Look, it's a moral question, isn't it? Do you think it's right to take more than half of anybody's income in federal and state taxes? Because that's what we're doing at the moment. And I would submit, sir, that that is not the way America ought to be.
You know, the way America ought to be is we ought to be balancing our budget and we ought to be paying for things that we're spending. When Bill Clinton left office, we had record surpluses, and under the 8 years of George Bush, we had record deficits. And I don't think Obama can clean up in a year and a half the mess George Bush and the Republicans took 8 years to make. They controlled both houses of Congress and the presidency. Yep. And we got red ink as far as the eye can see. So for them to now say we're fiscal conservative makes me laugh.
Can you tell me? Can you spell it out for me, Congressman? If you raise taxes significantly on the top 2% of income earners, as you propose to do on January the 1st, just go through the process for me, will you? Tell me, how does that create new jobs in America?
Listen, we had the tax cuts under George Bush, which
That's
you want
looking
to
backwards.
return
Tell me in the
everybody.
future, sir.
No. But we have to look at the future by what's happened in the past. The tax cuts under George Bush and the economic stewardship of the Republicans led us into this great recession, which was almost
I've got
a
to correct you. You're entitled to your opinion, but I've got to tell you the facts.
But you've got to let me get my opinion out.
Go ahead, sir.
Interrupting me.
And then I will have my say. Go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. The fact of the matter is that my Republican friends want to use the same failed policies, tax policies of the Bush administration, which got us into this problem in the first place. If giving tax cuts to the wealthy is such a wonderful panacea and cure-all and elixir, why, when we had the tax cuts for the wealthy under Bush, did we lose jobs like crazy in this country, and did this country go into economic recession and almost depression?
Okay, let's back up a little bit here. When President Bush lowered tax rates in 01 and 03, it set off a very strong economic expansion. It raised revenues coming into the central treasury, and it produced job creation. I think it was 48 straight months. It did not lead to the panic of 08. It created economic expansion by lowering tax rates. That, sir, is the lesson of history. You lower tax rates and you raise revenues to the treasury.
We lost more jobs under the Bush administration than any other administration in modern history.
It was just in the last year. It was just in the last year.
Please don't tell me.
It was last year.
We were bleeding. Well, there were lots and lots of people that lost jobs. Jobs were created under the Clinton administration. They were not created under the Bush administration. It was a net loss of jobs, and it was the same failed economic policies that you want to return to as the elixir for the trouble that got it, for the policies that got us into trouble in the first place.
Can I just ask you to go back to my question? If you raise taxes on the rich on January the 1st, spell it out for me. How do we create jobs by raising taxes on the rich? Just spell out the future for me, Congressman.
I think we need to create jobs, and I'm for President Obama's policies to have jobs created by infrastructure jobs. You know, a lot of people don't feel that the stimulus really kind of reached them. The fact of the matter is that the stimulus did prevent a lot of jobs from being lost. But the fact of the matter is, I say it again, we had 8 years of failed policies under the Bush administration, and now you're expecting Obama and the Democrats to clean it up in a year and a half. It's not fair. Now, we haven't done a great job, and that's blame is both sides. But my Republican friends can never call themselves fiscal conservatives. It's such hypocrisy, it's not funny.
I just wish you could spell out the economics of raising taxes on the rich and how that directly creates jobs.
It's not raising taxes.
Yes, it is.
Well, okay, fine.
Yes, it is. It's raising taxes. It's raising
tell me why the Bush tax cuts
that's
moved
looking
us
back.
into a recession.
I want to look forward, Congressman. That's what we're trying to do here.
I want to look forward, too. And by looking forward, I don't want to repeat the failed policies, the failed Republican policies of the past.
In the 1960s, President Kennedy lowered tax rates. In came more money to the Central Treasury. In 1980, President Reagan lowered tax rates. In came more money to the Federal Treasury. President Bush lowered tax rates. In came more money to the Federal Treasury. That's the lesson of history. That's looking backward. That's what happened.
Why does Alan Greenspan disagree with you?
Alan Greenspan's a
Republican who served under Republican and Democratic presidents.
I really wanted you to look forward to the future.
Well, I do too, but I don't want to make the same mistakes of the past.
You didn't spell it out. You didn't spell it out.
Okay, Alan Greenspan says, and I agree with him, that the top 2% spending $700 billion to give tax breaks to people that don't need it, the top 2% of the country, that is not paid for. That will increase our deficit. I didn't say that. Alan Greenspan said that.
Okay.
It happens to be true.
We've gone along. But no, Congressman, look, we really appreciate it, because this is a debate which we've got to have. It's vital to our future and our country and our economy. And we appreciate you being here with the other side. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's...